If you've been listening to this podcast, you're probably already doing the work, and I'm so grateful for that. You understand energy, you know that you want to call in more money and you want to expand it through investing. Maybe you've even started investing or maybe you're even just thinking about it. Either way, we have something called Expanding Money, which is a free 5-part series that I did that is absolutely shifting people's worlds. It takes them from identity and agreement to the things that they don't even know they're agreeing to a place of money neutrality and investing as part of who they are and an effortless way of being. I would say this is the most comprehensive thing that I have seen out there that will actually take you from A to Z in terms of looking at all the checkpoints that are kind of already there in your life now that you could clean up and not have split energy with. Moving from seeing investing as something that's risky to something that is actually a part of you, because by the way, wealthy people, they're not seeing investing as risky. It's really the people who haven't done it. So we have to look at that, right? And setting up new agreements where they aren't full of resistance. Instead, your new agreements are based on who you are now. They're based on money neutrality and setting up an investing account so that you can move towards freedom. When you are calling in more money and you are using a portion of that money to expand to support you, then what you've done is you have actually pulled energy down and then you've taken it back into the 3D as a way for you to work for you. You must expand money in this economy because it's just the way that it's set up, the cost of living and income and all that. So investing isn't an option anymore, and I would love for it to be a fun, super creative act for you. So all 5 parts are available for you for free on thespiritualinvestor.com/expandingmoney. Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Investor Podcast. You know, this is my favorite place to be. I love coming here and connecting with you and co-creating with you. And something that we do here is we give you something in a very concise, relatively short amount of time that you can then take away and then have you move at least one step further in your life, and be able to see yourself in a new way and tap into this world of effortless abundance. So, for those of you that don't know me, I was a financial trader for over a decade. It was in the energy industry, which is kind of funny. Although that type of energy was, trading oil and natural gas and electricity and all of that. I retired early. I left corporate at age 39. And my definition of where I wanted to be when I left, because I believe that we should all define financial freedom for what that means to us. My definition was to cover my cost of living with passive income through investing and to have completed my long-term retirement. Now, your definition can be completely different than that. I encourage you to define it as what's meaningful to you and leave it. Now, it took me 8 years to do that. I am in full awareness now with where I am that I set that timeline and I could have done that in 3 years. And so shortly after, I created the Spiritual Investor. And this is how I bring together the worlds of spirituality and money, not because I read something somewhere or because I think this is a great idea. Actually, no, this formed itself just through helping people. And it's actually just based on what has been successful in my life for the last 25 years as a successful investor. I combined spirituality with businesses and projects, and I saw how I didn't like living in a spreadsheet. I'm actually not that detailed of a person. I'm a creative. I'm definitely more of a floaty type of human. Yet, I like to bring my energy into how can I expand money? How can I move through life and build wealth in an effortless way? And so the spiritual investor is all about how can you pull down the energy and then across what I call the bridge and then take it back into the 3D. Now that's different than what most people are experiencing, which is they're just reacting to their circumstances. So in order to do this, it's it's important that you see yourself and you establish a new starting place, energetically, what you want and what you are calling in. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Is there is this concept that I talk about, it's certainty, and you're familiar with that word, but what we're going to do is we're going to add some different sort of like color to this word. And then how do you actually, based on once you've embodied that, how do you actually go back into the 3D world and use tools like investing or money management or increasing your income so that you are becoming more of a money conduit and that you're using a portion of that to invest? I think this has always been important. And for me, it's allowed me to build millions of dollars in over time in an effortless way. Now, I think it's even more important now, though, because where we are in the economy and in the world now. So, um, we all know, like we have AI sort of like standing here, right? And everyone has their own thoughts about it. Some people are in fear about it. Some people aren't. It really doesn't matter, because what I always practice for myself and what I teach in the spiritual investor is money neutrality. So AI is simply it's a world of more efficiency. And so you're either going to run your life and your world and your plan in parallel with that, or you're going to sort of be that equivalent to that person who's just standing in the middle of the field, just waiting for the storm and then reacting to the circumstances they're given. Now, I do think that if you're here listening to this, one, I think you've gone beyond the I'm in flow with money. You've probably gone beyond the manifestation and just feel it and it's going to be here. If you're here, you have definitely gotten into more of an advanced spiritual practice. You've definitely gotten yourself into a place where you can see, and you're also energetically calling in this desire that you would have more income coming in, or you would take some of that and invest it, either or both, right? Either more income or have the money that you have and you would expand it through investing. Um, Honestly, if I hadn't done that and I hadn't started that when I did, I don't even know that I would be here. And through not only the financial training, but also from helping people for now 8 years, I've been running the Spiritual Investor. I can see that one of the big blocks is that you're thinking that it's more difficult than it is, because it's really not. It doesn't require that you be obsessed with money. It doesn't require that you spend more time. In fact, this will take you less time. And it doesn't require that you have to be someone that you're not. And I think that's our standard anyway. So I don't even know that we would even agree to that. So let's talk about um, what's going on now. So economically, we're in a really, really great position. We've been in a great position for we've about 3 years. We've had kind of a boring but upward trending market. If you really look at, I mean, right now we're waiting on earnings to be released. And so basically what that is that's telling you how much money the company has made. And then that gets compared to what financial analysts would have expected. Most companies, over 80% actually, exceeded expectations in Q2. So we're getting ready to see that again. Inflation over the last couple of years has come down, although now it is kind of bumping around. I'm mentioning these things because these are things that are important to be looking at. These are also things that as you continue to listen here, you will become more familiar. In other words, like the listening here, like I said at the beginning, is to move you forward, but it's also you're establishing a new money language that is hopefully overriding your old money language, which came from your conditioning, your childhood, and all the things that you feel that you're not worthy of and that you can't do. So by doing this, especially if you're willing to do what I call vertical, which is be completely open when you're here, um, that means really unknowing what you know. So coming to this, not trying to compare this to anything, just being fully present and being like, okay, I'm going to learn a new language and then I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to do that because I know that Elizabeth is aware that there's a lot of people out there that say money is energy and all of that, but where are the dollars in the bank account? So this is the merging of that. This is yeah, we're using the energy of money, but we're really ready for the dollars to be in the bank account. And we're really ready for that feeling of that momentum and that effortless wealth to come through. So, the stock market, by the way, is energy, right? It's just a conglomerate of a whole bunch of decisions being made by computers or humans or whatever, right? And so it's interesting because if you really start to see it that way, then you can feel the market. And that's the thing. The best investor doesn't time the market. The best investor feels the market. Because when you're trying to time the market, what you're really doing is you're looking for an excuse to not do something. You're looking for a reason that some time would be better. And all of it is just a guess. If Warren Buffett can't time the market, neither can you or I. So what we've really seen, which I do think in some ways parallels what we have seen within our own kind of, spiritual, emotional journey here, is volatility, which is like basically, I'm saying the market's going up and down, yet expanding because it's been on an upward trend. It's been having tremendous growth over the last few years. So what I find fascinating though is once you can feel the market, you can see that it's not just volatility. It is, oh, well, I can tie this to this to this to this. Therefore, I'm still going to buy. I like that it's down and I'm going to buy more, right? I mean, there are certain stocks out there, by the way, that are just need to buy them basically just on an ongoing basis. There are stocks that I've been buying for several years that I don't even look at the stock and I just continue. Like if I'm going and I'm buying 5 or 6 stocks, I'll typically add that one on top. It's kind of like when you're shopping online and you get ready to check out and it says, oh, would you like this one more thing? Yeah, it's a common thing. So I have a handful of stocks that I've done that over time, and it's added tremendous growth to my portfolio. Um, Now, I do think, and maybe if this is helpful for you, I do think that instead of looking at investing as this game or this, you need to get better at it before you do anything. A lot of people think they don't know enough, so they sit on the sidelines. What I have found is that most people are successful with investing if they will just bypass their system of having to wait or know more, and they will just look at investing as just simply putting wood on the fire. Like you open the investing account, you buy some stocks, that's the fire, you've got it going. Your job is to go out there, make more income, or manage your money in a way that you can continue to buy more. Now, don't get hung up on the amount because it doesn't matter. If it's $50, then you're still in the practice of investing. You're still becoming the identity of an investor who does this on an ongoing basis. And so that's really, really important. So we've got the economy, which is doing great. We've got earnings coming up, got a little bit of inflation, but there's not a whole lot out there that should be throwing alarm bells off for you. So if you are sitting on the sidelines or if you are waiting on something, I would see that your waiting is more about you than it is money, because money is just ones and zeros. It's just you moving energy, and you're much more powerful with money if you will see that it's energy and get behind that and actually put that in flow. So that leads me into the second thing that I want to talk about here, which is the energy of certainty. So what I do here with the spiritual investor is I combine the energy of money with the 3D tools, right? So we now have talked about investing. We now have talked about, where is everything with that? So you can see yourself in that however you choose to see yourself. And that is up to you. Everything in your life everything around you is around you because you're in agreement with it, and you are calling in the exact amount of money that is matching your frequency. And so if you continue to not do anything different, then it makes sense you're going to be on your frequency. So just think about that when you're thinking about, should I start investing or should I invest more or blah, blah, blah. The stock market is a way to expand money. And if you just leave it at that, then it could be an experiment for you as well, right? So let's talk about sort of the other part of this, the energy of certainty. So certainty, as we know it, is, we can think of the concept in very much the 3D way, which is people become certain when they gather enough evidence that they can then be certain, right? And so you want to do something, you need 19 pieces of evidence in order to show you that. Sometimes you actually move forward with it and then you need more evidence. Sometimes it's unlimited, the amount of evidence that you need, and you don't even realize that all of your energy is going to the evidence collection part of it and not to really you getting behind what you want. And that's when we see people who are exhausted. They're giving their time away. They feel like they're basically their life and their money isn't in their control because they're just basically they're in certainty with, oh, I'll get this box checked and I'll get all of this done. But at the end of the day, it's another day gone by. They're not really the self-expression of what they want in the world. What's your overall goal? Like, why are you here? And so then we start to look at this and go, oh no, if 90% or more of your life is spent checking boxes that is disconnected to your goal, then you've basically been climbing the mountain in the wrong direction, right? So, and all of this is fine, by the way, especially the world that you live in now, because AI, again, I said, it's looming, it's standing in the room. It's helping us investment wise because it's definitely carrying a lot of the stock market and it's bringing more efficiency into these corporations, which then you're able to benefit from the stock. But also, this is a perfect time for you to be switching your world into really, really orienting more into, hey, how do I expand my money? And then because money is just you trading your energetic currency, right? And so you're expanding your energetic currency and you're expanding your money, right? Using AI in order to do that, like it's like we've never been in a better position for you to call in 10 times more money. In fact, if you're not expecting to call in 10 times more money, I would really look at that because you're at your most powerful place you've ever been. You're at a really open place. Why would you not expect the money to meet you on that frequency? Well, you've just answered why it's not meeting you on that frequency. And part of this getting you into investing is to show you that it's not some scary black box. And also for you to feel the momentum of you making money while you sleep. I hear this all the time that people are like, I don't care that it's $23 that I just made. That was money I didn't have to go out and earn. That's gold for you, but I can't give that to you. You have to create that yourself. So, and you create it with certainty. So certainty in the 3D, as I said, is looking for evidence. Certainty, as the way that I am inviting you to see it here, is certainty is when I get 100% laser focused behind whatever I'm doing, right? Certainty is Michelangelo, right? Certainty is when you are trying to help a small child get across a busy street safely, right? You are not questioning it. You are in your full power behind it. And guess what that is? That's source. Certainty is source. So I myself, this is just the way that I live my life, and I've always been this way ever since I was a child. I can't figure out how anybody would want to take something on and not be certain about it because uncertainty is also a plan. And so anything you're uncertain about, you're also asking the universe for. And because there's no hierarchy in the universe, you're equally asking for it. So you could be 90% certain and 10% uncertain, and you're still asking for both. You are putting out that, and I call that split energy. Split energy, there's nothing wrong with it. And if you need to be uncertain to get yourself someplace, I get that. But don't be there too long because then that turns into waiting energy, which is lack energy. So split energy is you basically giving away your energetic currency for something that you don't want, right? So when we are talking about certainty, so now that we have an understanding of the sort of the 3D version with the energetic version, I want you to see that the more certain you are about your relationship you're in, about what you want in terms of money, who you're being when you show up in the room. Are you able to be, what's your level of availability for other human beings in the world? The more certain you are, the bigger life you are going to create. And I think you can connect that. So if you can connect that, then why wouldn't you see your number one job as becoming more certain? Because you're the creator, your source. And so if you're creating the circumstances, then you're creating circumstances that reflect back your uncertainty. Your uncertainty is based on the plan you don't want, or you're creating it based on your certainty. Where we get into hot water is that we're looking for evidence in a whole bunch of stuff that we've created, which is why certainty in the 3D is just like a snake eating its tail. It's just continuing on. It's a self-fulfilling uncertainty as a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So in this, and this is, and sometimes it's helpful if I give examples too. So in this, you can see your elements of certainty and uncertainty in sort of whatever you have going on. And you're not wrong by being uncertain, but I would encourage you and invite you to see that your work that's the areas where you want to clean up. And you can't focus on where you're uncertain. What you do is you garnish more uncertainty, or you garnish more certainty, so that it sort of overrides it, right? So just talking about, part of my wealth building. So I started out buying rental properties in San Diego, and this was shortly after the financial crisis. At that point, I was able to buy duplexes for, and the mortgage would be covered by one, and then the rent or the rent from the other one would basically be positive cash flow. That's obviously not the case now, but there's still opportunities that are just as good. They just look a little different. There's opportunities in every market. But what ended up happening is I just said, you know what, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So there was this concept called a short-term rental. And this was way early on. Airbnb didn't even exist at this time. And there were 3 in San Diego. And so what I decided is, well, I'm not necessarily interested in this. I mean, I like, owning rental properties, but I'm not interested in running something like this. So what I do is I need to make it more me. And so I, at the time, was donating quite a bit of money to horse rescues. And that's another thing about me, is that I ride horses. I used to compete in a sport called 3-day eventing. I'm actually wearing this is the shirt I used to wear in dressage. I don't know why I chose it today. Maybe because this story was supposed to come up. So anyways, I decided, okay, well, how can I make this me? And so what I did is I started donating. So I bought the property, turned it into a vacation rental. Actually, Airbnb contacted me and said, can we come and take photos of your property? We're looking for properties. We'll do it for free. I was one of the original ones on the website. So anyways, I ended up donating a lot of the proceeds to horse rescues. Well, and I noted that in the description of it. Well, then what happened is I started attracting all of these people from all over the world that loved horses. Okay, how fun, right? I expanded my world. Well, then I don't know. You know how this happens. Like magnetism, it's energy, and you can feel it, and you can't always see it. But then I got contacted by HGTV, and they said, we'd like to feature your house on a tiny house hunter show, right? Because it was a small house in the historic district of San Diego. Really super designer, super cute, perfect little rental, right? So anyway, so then that ended up happening, and one thing after the other. Anyways, it ended up being several years of a really, really amazing experience. However, if I had looked for certainty in that, because I didn't even know if it was going to work. And it wasn't really the greatest long-term rental because it was so small. But what I did is I said, okay, I am certain that I'm going to enjoy the process of donating to horse rescues. That I'm certain about. I am also certain that even though it's not a great long term rental, I am certain that I can cover the mortgage with the amount that I would get from the rent. And then I'm also certain that even though at the time, actually, a lot of the financial people I worked with, they were like, "Oh, buying property is the worst idea right now. You know, it's just not a great market." Da da. I was certain that they were wrong. I was certain that I was like, this is going to be a good long-term investment. There's no lose here. I couldn't figure out there's no lose situation here. So I went for it. Well, that property, of course, as you know, I've sold it now, but it's ended up quadrupling in value, and plus all the cash flow that was accumulated, from it. And there are still 8 wild Mustangs that are running free in Idaho that I don't know if they would have had that life if it hadn't been for the donations. So, anyways, what I find is that when you use this approach that I'm talking to you about, when you're combining sort of the energy of you and what you really want in the world and your spiritual aspect with money, what happens is the universe steps in. But the universe can only hear the language of certainty. So it's okay if you're one way or the other. But what I'm telling you, if you want to collapse time, because that's effectively what certainty does, the more power you are bringing to the moment, meaning the more of source you are in the moment, the less time, because there actually is no time. That time is just a concept, but it feels like time because you're getting it faster, because energetically there's no distance between you and that thing that you want, because you've eliminated the resistance. And if you really, really look at it, if you really look at your uncertainty is going to be related to your past, because source is not uncertain. And source doesn't have a past because source is creation. So hopefully this has given you a way to I'm always like, get what you get, even if it's just one thing. How is this allowing you to see yourself in a different way, so that, and I would even say a new way, so that you can go out and you can be more of who you are? Because ultimately, you are simply going out there, you're trading your energetic currency for whatever form of abundance you have chosen. It could be health, it could be money, it could be love, it could be anything, right? You have chosen that, right? It's just that what you don't realize is that in the case of money, you've chosen you want it to be more money, but the resistance is keeping it from you. And so what I'm giving you here is I'm giving you permission, if you will, for there is a way to expand money out there that is available at your fingertips. And I'm also inviting you to see that the work is really it's an inside game with certainty, and that you continuing on and not being disentangled to evidence, not being disentangled to what other people are thinking or want you to do, the more of that you can do, the more of the source version of you you're going to bring, and the easier money is going to come to you. All right. Thank you for being here. I am so happy to be connected to you, and I will see you on the next episode.